Welcome, Rise and Thrivers, to the show today. We have a dynamic force in the world of intentional living and impactful communication. Trained at the prestigious London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art, Dale's career took an exciting turn when she landed a role in Mission Impossible. Yet for her, this was more than just a role. It was a profound lesson in turning fear into confidence and transforming challenges into stellar performances. Her journey didn't stop there, though. Dale experienced a powerful epiphany that life itself is an act, often played out unconsciously. This revelation reshaped her career, inspiring her to help others take control of their lives with the same intentionality she brought to her roles. For over a decade, she's been equipping people from all walks of life with the tools to live deliberately, using body, mind, and voice techniques to navigate any situation with purpose and poise. Her playwright approach empowers people to elevate their profiles, master communications, and seize opportunities. Whether it's about nailing a video presentation, giving a knockout speech, or simply bringing more awareness to everyday situations, she proves that success is within reach for everyone willing to act with intention. In today's episode, she shares her insights on how our behaviours drive our outcomes and how each of us can learn to perform at our best, both on and off stage. Let's welcome Dale Stevens back to the show.
Oh, thank you so much, John. It's such a delight to be here.
An absolute pleasure. Now, for those Rise and Thrivers that are friends of the show, they will remember your season 1 experience when you were here as a guest, and we got some great feedback on that. I just had to have you on for our season 3, which is we're back to interviewing guests, and of course Rise and Thrivers Dale was at the top of the list to come back. And you've been up to some very exciting things, and just to let everyone know, just before we started, we did the power pose, so we were all set up mentally for what we're about to do. And I loved it. Dale, can you tell everyone what we just did with the power pose?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's so simple, but it resets your body and gives you a posture that makes you, just really calms your parasympathetic nervous system and keeps your chest up and plants you ready to go. Shall we do it now, John?
We can do it again. You can never do it too many times.
You can't.
If you're in the car, you can probably, I don't know, do the breathing part.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if you're listening and you want a bit of energy,
Yes.
let's do it again, Dale.
So you put your arms up in a V and you shut your eyes and lift your head up a little bit, and then you take a big deep breath in, blow it out hard. Big deep breath in, blow it out hard. Big deep breath in, blow it out hard. Relax your shoulders, leaving everything where it is. Bring your arms down and open your eyes.
Beautiful. I love it. There's so much to be learned from using the body to enhance the mind, isn't there?
There's another thing that you can do before you speak, which is, you probably don't want to do it in front of people because it doesn't really look that great, but it works really well. And it's like blowing raspberries. So you go, but then you go up and down the scale. So you go like this. Yeah, don't watch, John. It's like, and that means that you get your all your articulators working.
Oh, I like that too. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now I'm doing what I've been accused of, which is diving right into all the tips and tricks, because I'm just so keen for our listeners to get them without doing a bit of background and a bit of context. So for those people that haven't seen you on stage and screen or done your speaking courses or your other courses that you offer, how would you describe yourself if we met at a party?
Well, I think the key thing, there's a Mad Men, the series, which was very famous and brilliant. And the main character says that success comes from standing out, not fitting in. And I think that that's really true. And so, I mean, I had to stand out when I had to, when I was a dancer, I had to put myself out there. When I was an actor, I had to put myself out there. Then it was even harder when I was actually being myself leading workshops and being a coach and being a speaker. And so this thing of putting yourself out there, speaking up, I mean, even just speaking up in a meeting and having your ideas heard, that's how people get promoted. That's how people get more clients. That's how people deal with conflict. I believe that all success really comes from how you communicate. And if you're not putting yourself out there, someone else is, and you're being hidden. And some of the people I work with are so brilliant. They're so fantastic at their job. They're technically brilliant. They're even great at creating really strong relationships. But because they are quiet in how they promote themselves, they get overlooked. Their ideas don't get seen, and they just don't win on a level that they could, merely because they don't speak up. The visibility isn't there.
I love how you put that. Recently, I've seen something, been exposed to something, this saying that's just really resonated with me. The best doesn't win, the best known wins. And I can really hear a bit about that in what you're saying. And we all know brilliant people. And you're right, the difference can be communication in whether they're going to win or how much they're going to win. And also, I love that Mad Men analogy you just mentioned, because you can want to play tennis, you can sit and watch a lot of games, but unless you're actually on the court, hitting the ball, being seen, you're not really playing tennis. You're not really in the game of life winning. So I love that. I love that. And Rise and Thrivers, we did talk about doing a bit of a winning theme for this episode. So you'll hear Dale and I talk about winning. And we still don't have heaps of context on you, Dale, but let's tease that out as we go through the show, because we're both
yes. We'll
chomping.
get there.
Is it chomping or champing at the bit? I think we're chomping at the bit.
I often wonder about that. I think it's champing, but I think chomping sounds better. So who go with either?
Yeah, because they do have it in their mouth. I used to ride horses. It's in their mouth. They're chomping anyway.
Yeah.
And so because winning can mean different things to different people.
Yes.
And I like how you were saying it before we hit record about what winning is for you and what you mean in that context. So I'm going to throw it over to you to tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, look, I really thought about this before I came to speak to you. And winning for me is my clients winning. It's like when they get the promotion that they wanted, when they're terrified to speak at their own wedding, and then they end up smashing it on this industry panel and get their company to be one of 30 companies that the UN. So there's sort of external results that they get that I really love, but it's also them winning, like in the moment, that I can see them transforming how they communicate that. And they get this look. Sometimes people get this look on their face, and I know they're thinking, I didn't know I could do that. And when I see that, I mean, that's my big win, because that's the most fun for me. But their big wins is what they achieve. But that moment when I know something has shifted, that they're actually, and it's mostly really with their personality coming out. It's not like, oh, they were just a quiet speaker and now they've got a bit more oomph to their voice, or mechanical things that they learn. It's really the techniques that I use are all about people's personality coming out and having a conversation. And when I start seeing them going from being a speaker, with a monotone or nervous or all these things, to actually their personality coming out, that's the win.
Now, I love talking about this kind of stuff because speaking, there's always another level to go to, no matter where you are, whether you're the top in the world or whether you've never done it before. It's one of those things where you can grow and learn and become better all the time, which for me is exciting and inspiring. Now, I know that there's a lot of people that are nervous about speaking in front of a crowd or a camera.
Yeah.
And you touched on it there as well. But what are the specific mindsets and techniques that you recommend so that turning fear into confidence or more confidence?
Well, there's different aspects to it. I mean, one is the structure and the focus of what your main message and and really kind of planning the content to be tight. Most people try and say too much, give too much detail, and it's like drinking from a fire hose. It's too much, so it's that. But the real technique that I have the most success with, which is a technique that like Simon Sinek uses, and some often anchors, news anchors and stuff like that, is to imagine that you're talking to one person, and not, you don't look at one person in the audience if you're doing it, because that would mean that you're staring there and all the other people are cut
It
off.
could get a bit uncomfortable.
And what if they look at their watch and look bored? People say, find someone smiling in the audience. Well, what if they leave, or they look at their watch, or they're bored? They're bored, or they're, it. And also, you cutting off the rest of the audience. So I don't agree with that. So you imagine you're talking to one person, you choose the person strategically, and then what happens is that you create. So say I was going to do a speech, and I imagined speaking as if I was speaking to you, because you inspire me when, I say smart things when I'm around you, and you always give me encouragement, and so you're my go-to guy. And so imagine speaking to you, and then when I do, my relationship with you gets translated to them. So they can feel that mutual respect, they can feel that mutual encouragement, they can feel that same relationship, and they feel as if I'm talking just to them. So that is the key aspect of what I train people to do. And it's not like that it's hard to do, it's that our mind doesn't want us to do it because our mind wants to take control. And it really, you have to do like acting, like be in the moment and free fall it. And mostly people find that very difficult. So I have to help them identify the person, and I have to help them be able to jump into it without their critical mind taking control.
And I can see how, when you mention it, if you focus on talking to one person and thank you for the lovely compliments, by the way, when you focus on one person that you feel comfortable talking to and that is encouraging and makes you feel good about yourself, how that can definitely uplift any conversation or speech or presentation that you have to give. And it does remove, what I can hear for me is it would remove that, oh my God, there's 300 people, or oh my God, there's 10 people on the call, or maybe there's only 5 people on the call, but one of them's the CEO or a senior leader or something like that. So having that context of delivering to one person that you feel comfortable delivering to, I can really see how that can transform your fear into a more empowering context. Thanks. What a perfect answer to the question.
Well, that's exactly right, because you go from a performance to a conversation, and anyone could talk to one person. Anyone. There's no person,
Yeah.
who has a job who can't talk to one person because they had to talk to one person to get their job. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. And also, because in our brain, what happens is that we go from a critical headspace to a creative headspace. So that's the performance, the conversation. So if you're in the critical headspace, your brain's going, hope it goes well, oh, what am I going to say first? Yeah. And you start talking, go, gee, that went well. Yeah, great. Oh my gosh, I think I'm fantastic at this. I think they'll love this. Oh, that didn't go well. I don't know about that. Oh, I think I'm rubbish at this. Oh, they'll hate this. Oh, I don't know. I don't think I really want to be here. Oh, I'm saying too much. I think I'm saying too little. Oh, I don't know. Where am I? I don't know. So you're all in your own head, which is horrible for you, and it's horrible for the audience because you're clearly not caring about them. But when you're in the creative headspace, you're thinking, I'll say that to them. That would be helpful. Yeah, I think I've said enough about that. I'll say this to them. Oh, I could bring this in. Oh, this would be good for them. Oh, that'll be helpful. Oh, remember that story? Oh, I think this will help them. I hope this helps them. It's all on them. So you're in a totally different headspace.
I can really hear the difference between the all about you in the first example that you gave. And by the way, I think you gave almost pretty much everything that everyone says when they're giving a speech, and it makes sense because you train people with this kind of stuff. And then when it becomes more of a being for the other people or the audience, it's such a shift. And I've also heard that when people, say, go to a social function and they're feeling very self conscious, you're also thinking about yourself. You're not thinking about other people in the room. So if you are in a social situation and you're feeling self conscious, maybe there's someone else not talking to anyone over in the corner or something like that. So you could go, I want to make a difference to them and ask how they am, rather than standing here going, oh, I feel awkward. Oh, I look at my phone. Or, oh no, that would be rude. Oh, and again, in that self-talk space where it's all about you rather than all about the people around you and making a difference and adding value to them.
Well, that's right. And in a networking session, you're in a group, you can use the same technique. I could still stand there, and even if I was looking at someone else, or I could imagine I was talking to you, and so you can create that same. You're taking basically a safe relationship with you wherever you go. So whenever you're speaking to that safe person, no matter how. It's actually an acting technique. So when you're acting, say if we were playing a scene, you and I were in a scene, and you were playing my brother. Well, I would personalize you. I would imagine that you are my brother. Actually, you can even do siblings. I've got a sister. I could imagine you and my sister and get that sibling relationship going. So that's where it comes from, personalizing. It's an acting technique. And so you just personalize who you're talking to, and that you can do that absolutely anywhere. But because a lot of people say, oh, well, focus on the audience, don't focus on yourself. But you end up with, what do you think of me? Do you know what I mean? Enough of me. What do you think of me? Yes, the audience. What are they thinking of me? So you're still not thinking about the audience if it's a performance. But if it's a conversation, then it's all, and about someone you care about, then you are caring that you're giving them something, and you care that you give, it's all, the creative is all focused on them. And I always ask, whenever I'm working with someone, after they've done an exercise, I always ask the same question. I go, was that fun? And they always say yes.
I bet they do, because it sounds like you moving from a head space to a heart space as well.
Yep.
Which resonates with people, and you can really connect with people that way. And it makes sense that you're using these acting techniques in your Speaking with Impact course.
Yes.
I love what I've been reading about that, and it's all about confidence, charisma, and clarity. So that sounds really good. And also this 7 seconds to capture an audience. Oh, I like that as well. Are you allowed to let that one out of the bag, or do you have to do the course to really get that?
Well, it's really kind of what I've been describing. Is that, firstly, I always get people to do the same thing, which is a welcome. And so I always say, even if they're at an event that's not their event, so I always get people to smile at the audience and say welcome, and do a big warm hug. So I go, welcome, I'm so excited to be here. And so when you do that, firstly, you're doing friend, because their brains are going friend or foe. So you're doing friend. It's like you're hugging them, and also it's like bringing all the energy, because when you start off any sort of speech, especially in person, online as well, people are thinking lots of different things, and everyone's distracted, and it's not a group, it's a crowd of people. They're not a group. So you do this welcome, and you bring in all the energy into one group. It's like you're hugging the whole group, and then you say, I'm so excited to be here, because then you're telling them it's exciting.
Yeah, nice.
So you say what you want them to feel.
There's a lot in there. Thank you for that. And also touching on that, sometimes we don't realise that when we're meeting someone for the first time, probably subconsciously, we are thinking friend or foe, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's really important to know that that's what's happening, because you can unconsciously just be going through those motions and making those decisions. And I would imagine we do such a snap judgment that sometimes we're not getting it right.
Well, smiling will get a win every single time. I always
Yeah.
start all my videos with smiling, and quite frankly, it can be
Yep.
fake. Like it doesn't even have to be real, you know.
Yep.
It's just, I mean,
Yep.
like I'll do both. I'll do a real one and a fake one. Okay, so I'll start my video. If I start my video like this, okay, that's a real one. But I can start with a fake one. It doesn't matter.
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell the difference, but what I can really hear is you are managing the impression that you're giving to people around you. So
Yes.
I don't want anyone to think, oh no, it can be put on and it's fake or whatever. What it really is having that awareness that you want the people around you to be comfortable, and a smile makes all the difference. So you do whatever you need to do to put that smile on so
Yes.
others can feel comfortable.
Well
So
said.
I really love the way that you do that. And Rise and Thrivers, I had the pleasure of Dale's company at my birthday party here at the house a little while ago. And I noticed your energy was so inviting, and you were, every time I looked at you, you were smiling. I could really observe that at the party, and it gave such great energy to the whole space. So I know I said that to you after the party anyway, but I wanted all the listeners to know that these are techniques, not techniques, these are things that you live, and they make a difference to others, because they certainly made a difference to me and the other people around the party.
Well, that was just the most phenomenal night. I feel so sad for the people that didn't go, because it was just such a highlight. Oh my gosh, because a big highlight of the year. Like it was just you and your gorgeous wife, and just the energy there, and the people there was just phenomenal from beginning to end. Not least of which was
Thank
those
you.
desserts.
Thank you. Yeah, we'd like to cover all bases,
Oh,
and
gorgeous.
we also had an amazing time. We did have a few guests of the show there, so it was also a great reunion, because some of them I hadn't had in the same room before, so it was just marvelous, just marvelous.
Yeah.
Now, confidence, charisma, and clarity.
Yes.
You are oozing all of those things. But can you tell us more about that in the context of speaking with impact?
With confidence, I don't want people to have confidence in themselves, because that's fleeting. You know, it's just, you're not going to feel confident all the time. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, sometimes you feel sick, tired, whatever. Drumming up confidence is just lunacy, really. But always want them to have confidence in their technique, because that you can have confidence in. I mean, I can talk, I can do video, I can be an MC, I can speak to 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 people, I can do anything because I have this technique.
And you got that confidence in that technique and the learnings. And
It
that,
never lets me down. Never, never, never lets me down. And now it's like riding a bike. It's so second nature that I just, you know, if someone said, oh, stand up and do a 1-minute speech on something or other, I'll go, okay, give me the topic. Stand up and introduce someone, be an MC, do anything, because of the technique. So confidence comes from technique.
Love it.
The clarity is really about certain structures, very simple structures, being able to do micro stories before and after. Do you want me to do it?
What do you mean by that?
Okay, so before and after.
I haven't really heard that expression before. Yeah.
So a micro story before and after is, say, I was working with this brilliant woman. She was head of sustainable investment at this massive superannuation firm, but she was so nervous to speak at her own wedding that she came out in a rash.
Wow. And you'd think she'd be with family and friends, so you'd think she'd be comfortable, or more comfortable maybe doing that. But yeah, please go on.
So she was terrified. And when she introduced me to her colleagues, she fiddled with the paper, spoke really fast, fiddled with her hair, fiddled with the papers. It was terrible, awful. But I worked with her. Then she nailed it on this international industry panel, got written up and quoted, and then she got her company to be one of 30 companies at the UN. She was brave enough to speak up, and she stood out, and that was the result. So that is like a micro story before and after.
Right, that you just gave us. Right, okay, cool. And the charisma part.
Yes, so the charisma part partly comes out through people being in that conversation because their personality comes out. But then I've got all these techniques, like actors use animal characteristics to bring out their, to create different characters. So I use that also to be able to have people create more dynamics. Also with their voice, sometimes, not like you with your gorgeous voice, but sometimes men have particularly that monotone voice. Oh my gosh, it's put you to sleep. Awful. Or sometimes women have like a little light voice, or like really quiet little weak voices that no one really wants to listen to. So have you ever heard Margaret Thatcher, the story of Margaret Thatcher with her voice?
Yeah, and I've seen the movie. I don't know if I know the story about her voice, but I know she's a great orator and speaker.
Yeah, so if you ever look up her when she was younger, before she was the Prime Minister, she spoke like a bird, like it was really light.
Right.
I just go and put the washing out. Yeah, it'd be lovely. And she spoke like that. And then, when she was the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, she spoke like that. So it's like she dropped octaves. And really, the way she was speaking before, she never would have been Prime Minister. No one would have ever taken her seriously. So there's stuff like that, using your voice, using your body language, and using your intention to be able to, that's what, and just even that technique I was telling you before about imagining the other person, that makes you magnetic because you're focused on them and they feel that and want to listen to you because you care about them that much.
Yeah, lovely. And you just said the intention there. So we've talked a bit about intention already, especially if you're trying to imagine you're talking with one person. So you have an intention to do that.
Yeah.
And the voice as well. And thanks again for the compliment. Did you know I'm putting out a meditation app so people can sleep with me and listen to me when they want to do a guided meditation for lots of different reasons?
Well, I think lots of people jump on that for sure. Because they have trouble with their sleeping.
That's right.
Only that reason.
Well, and not all about sleeping, about feeding the subconscious mind as well. So all the things that you get and making it easy for people so you can just listen without having to do too much more. I'll take you through a quick body relaxation before the guided meditation, so you're in the position to listen and be receptive to the messages. But I've got one where I just give you compliments for 15 minutes. So I think that can only be good. But anyway, we're not talking about that, but I just had to throw that in.
Love it.
Yeah, thanks. And body language as well. So I know that, isn't there a stat, something like 70% or more than 70% of communication is nonverbal?
It's 55% is body language, 38% is the tone of your voice, and then 7% words. So I think you're thinking about the words. The actual words that you choose is only 7%. So it is, and your body language affects you. Because
I agree.
Your brain's in the dark and it's just getting signals. So if you're kind of a bit slumped and then things go bad and you go, more, then your brain goes, whoa, danger, Will Robinson, better get her out of there. So you get the fight, flight, freeze. And once you're in that, you can't think straight. Whereas if I've got this thing where you go taller and calmer. You just think taller and calmer.
Love that, Dale. Taller and calmer.
Yeah, and you take a breath and speak the truth.
Yep. Right, so if any of our listeners are out there and when those times when you're feeling a bit stressed or overwhelmed or whatnot, you can easily stop and pull yourself up and say, taller and calmer, take a breath and speak the truth.
Yeah.
Dale, I love that.
Actually, I did use
That's going to be a short.
I love it. I did use it once because I was in this tricky situation. It was very tricky. So what happened, I don't give too much information away because people will know who it is, but not that I really care. I was at this meeting for Australian Transformation and Turnaround Association, that group. Now, I've never done a transformation. I've never done a turnaround. These people were like way above me in all this stuff. I was way out of my league, punching way above my weight, which I like to do anyway. But I was in my zone because I was leading conversation about the power of the spoken word. So, all good. I'm in my lane, all good. So, we start off the conversation. It's going so well, it's great. And then comes the questions. Well, one of the charming gentlemen who happened to be on the call says to me, yeah, look, that's all old hat now, because really everything's just run by the tech people, and so you don't even have to speak. And I was like, oh, so you're not just stabbing me, but my whole profession. Thanks. That's so great. So I
Not
went,
very uplifting, but how did you deal with that?
well, I went taller and calmer. I took a
Nice.
breath and I said, look, tech's not my thing. I don't really know about that. But I do know that one of my clients got over 3 million views for her TED talk and got $1.3 trillion moved out of tobacco investment.
That's a slam dunk right there,
It's
Dale.
like, you feel like inside you're going, game over.
But a great example of
Taller and calmer, taller and calmer.
taller and calmer and then speak the truth.
Yeah,
I
because
like
then you
that.
can be respectful